When we talk about earth art or land art, there's likely a few things that come to mind. You've likely heard of Robert Smithson's spiral jetty at the Great Salt Lake in Utah, or seen one of Andy Goldsworthy's site-specific sculptures like this one at Storm King Art Center. Or maybe visiting New Mexico to view Walter de Maria's lightning field has been on your bucket list. But there's one artist whose dedication, whose obsession, may make these other projects feel like, well, child's play. Art lovers, hello and welcome to the channel. I've tried to create a space here where we can talk about modern and contemporary art and design in a hopefully non-pretentious way. And today I would like to talk about Michael Heizer. Now, if the name Michael Heizer doesn't immediately roll off your tongue, you may be familiar with what was, until recently, his most famous and most published work, Double Negative. Heizer created this work not by shaping steel like Richard Serra, or carving marble like Barbara Hepworth. He created this sculpture through subtraction. More specifically, he subtracted more than 240,000 tons of earth and stone from the Mormon Mesa in southeastern Nevada. By doing this, he created two enormous trenches, each of which is 1,500 feet long, 50 feet deep, and 30 feet wide. Both incisions mirror each other, lining up perfectly from opposite sides of the canyon. Heizer had a romantic view of this artwork, designed as a space where the viewer can contemplate their relationship with the land, but also force the audience to reconsider their notions of what art is or even could be. Heizer would say, "There are works of art that can be considered works of art, but don't have to be in the collection of the Metropolitan Museum." Heizer was 26 years old when he finished this artwork. But how and why did he come to make Double Negative? And certainly after this very ambitious undertaking, why did he then decide to make something arguably 1,000 times more ambitious? Well, we're about to get into all that. When Heizer was 12 years old, he took a year off of school to join his archaeologist father on a dig in Mexico. Here he would make site drawings for his father, and he would expand on this exercise throughout his career. In the mid-1960s, he would attend the San Francisco Art Institute, but would drop out to move to New York. He supported himself by painting apartments, and one such apartment belonged to Walter de Maria. Yes, that Walter de Maria I mentioned in the intro. Michael and Walter would become close friends. And they began to collaborate on ideas that would become the foundation of what we now know as earth art or land art. Heizer's art at this time often focused on paintings in which he would carve geometric shapes out of his canvases. But he wanted to create work that was much larger, that wasn't constrained by the dimensions of the canvas, the gallery, or even the city. He eventually found that New York was not conducive for the type of art he wanted to create and, supported by the art dealer and philanthropist Virginia Dewan, moved back west to Nevada. Heizer's first experiment with earth art came in 1967 with a piece called North, East, South, West. The work was to consist of 4 excavations in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California. Each excavation would represent one of the 4 directions on the compass, but only 2 of this now long gone sculpture were ever created. Decades later, the Dia Art Foundation commissioned Heizer to recreate this piece indoors, and these are the images you're about to see. Constructed for the first time in its entirety with the dimensions and material that Heizer had originally specified, this work is a sequence of geometric pits, 2 stacked cubic forms for north, a cone for south, a triangle for west, and an inverted truncated cone for east. Together they measure more than 125 feet in length and sink from the floor of the gallery to a depth of 20 feet. Heizer has made a sculpture not by creating something in space, but by removing the space altogether. All of a sudden, by removing the space, Heizer creates a sense of potential physical danger that dramatically changes the viewing experience. Pro tip, I've visited the sculpture many times, but only learned this while researching for this video. You can schedule a private, more intimate tour of North, East, South, West each day before Dia Beacon opens to the public. During regular hours, there is a glass barrier that partially prevents you from peering into the depth of the sculpture and presumably saves you from tumbling to the bottom. But this tour allows you to experience the piece as Heizer intended. And so it looks like I'll be making another pilgrimage to my favorite museum again very soon. So after creating this negative space in the ground, what's the next logical step? Obviously, create a negative space by going through the ground. And that's just what double negative did, completed just a few years after northeast southwest. But Heizer was only getting started. In the early 1970s, he started his magnum opus, a piece simply called City. This would be a project unlike any the world had ever seen, in scale, concept, and form. A project that, more than 50 years later, just started accepting visitors last year. So what is City? First, at more than 1.5 miles long, it's one of the largest works of art in the world. Michael Kimmelman, the architecture critic for the New York Times, wrote, "This was a largely DIY project by a self-taught artist at the scale of new town planning. It was a Sisyphean chore." It is intended to resemble a large urban complex, but unlike any you've seen before. It's a network of huge geometric forms, mounds, pits, and walls. It's built from the natural soil found in the area, as well as rocks, clay, concrete, and granite. Unlike some of his previous work we have discussed, this is not art created from negative space. City is built upon the earth. It was inspired by Native American mound building in the ancient cities of Central and South America, as well as the stepped pyramids in Egypt. Harriet Lloyd Smith would write in Wallpaper magazine that the final result resembles a Mayan meets modernist ruin. It's divided into a series of complexes that feature undulating mounds and volumes that reach towards the sky, as if they pierced through the Earth's crust. Lloyd Smith goes on to say that City defies categorization. It's not just earth art. It's endurance art for both the artist and the visitor. It's sculpture and assemblage. It's architecture and performance. Heizer has literally redefined what sculpture can be. But if you want to see it in person, you're going to need a ticket and a reservation, because only 6 people are allowed in per day. As an art dealer, I'm always fascinated by the market for a particular artist or a particular work. And so, how do we quantify Heizer's artwork? He was literally making art out of voids and negative space. He made work that not only shunned the gallery system, but the art market itself. So how did he take on such ambitious projects? If you're an artist watching this, this is the hard part. He, throughout his career, has had patrons. Think what the Medicis were in 15th century Florence to Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, or what Peggy Guggenheim was to artists like Mark Rothko or Jackson Pollock. Earlier I mentioned the dealer and philanthropist Virginia DeWan. She not only helped Heizer in his move out west from New York City, but financed Double Negative and gave him a loan to purchase the land that would become City. There were also a number of American institutions that recognized the importance of what Heizer was doing and supported him in different ways. At Dia Beacon, just around the corner from northeast southwest, is negative megalith number 5 from 1998, a natural stone inscribed in a rectangular niche. Glenstone out of Washington, D.C. prominently features Collapse, comprised of 15 steel beams arranged within and extending beyond a box set within the earth. And probably the most famous is Levitated Mass, greeting visitors outside the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. And yes, he also made paintings and prints. He is now represented by Gagosian Gallery, the largest art gallery in the world, and I'm sure Larry Gagosian is selling these paintings for incredible sums of money. But seeing Heizer's work in 2D, hanging on a wall, just doesn't do it for me. Some of them even remind me of bike racks in my neighborhood along the Pennsy Trail. To really understand Heizer's work, they need to be hiked through, walked under, or peered into. So, as always, I encourage you to get out there and go see. I would love to hear your thoughts on Michael Heizer, so please drop some comments down below to let me know what you think. And if you haven't done so already, it really helps me out a lot to like and comment on this video and subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. If you have questions about or are interested in selling a piece of modern art and design, I'll leave my contact information below in the description. I would love to talk to you. So thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Ciao!